A warm welcome to our audience in another series of our podcasts related to the book Intercultural Competence Through Virtual Exchange, Achieving the United Nations Sustainability Development Goals. I am thrilled today because I am joined by a great set of panelists that we're going to discuss their work on faith that does justice, overcoming accessibility, diversity, equity, and inclusion issues in South Sudan using collaborative online international learning. My name is Dr. Elena Douvlou. I'm going to be the moderator for this session, and I'm currently the Associate Dean in the School of Architecture at Metropolitan College in Greece. I would very much like to welcome our panelists to introduce themselves and their affiliation, and also share the location that they're joining us from today. So should I start from Sandra?
Sure. I am Dr. Sandra Suter, and I am a lifelong educator. I was a principal for many years in the Omaha Diocese at a couple of different schools. Since then, I was a student at Creighton University, where I attained my doctorate degree, and how I got involved in this project. Additionally, I have taught at Doane University, Clarkson College, and soon to be Butler University as an adjunct instructor. And I currently work at the Nebraska Department of Education. And I'm joining you today from Yankton, South Dakota. My home base is Omaha, Nebraska, but I'm in Yankton, South Dakota today.
Thank you very much, Sandra. And Karim?
Yes, hi. Nice to be here with you. My name is Dr. Karim Trublot. I'm the Director of Legal Research and Strategy for a law firm in Washington, D.C., where we focus on Indigenous issues. I also teach for Jesuit Worldwide Learning, and I do a little bit of academic writing affiliated with Hopkins. And I just joined this project when I was a student at Creighton, so I was able to get involved with this. And I'm in Washington, D.C. right now.
Thank you very much. And Father Ayaga?
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is James Ayaga. I'm from Kenya, originally from Kenya, but currently working here in South Sudan. I belong to the Society of Jesus, or commonly known as the Jesuits of Eastern African region. The Jesuits are working in 6 countries within East Africa. That is Tanzania, Uganda, Sudan, South Sudan, Kenya, and Ethiopia. Those are the countries where we are working at the moment. I am mission here in South Sudan, and I'm currently the principal of Mazzolari Teachers College. It is a college belonging to the Diocese, Catholic Diocese of Rumbek in South Sudan. And it is the only college that is available to train teachers in the Lake States. Where I'm working, this is a great need because the country just got independent recently. So most of the teachers that we have, or most of the teachers who are teaching in school, are not trained at all. They are primary school leavers who go back to teach in primary school. And those who are bright, some of them find their way to teach in secondary school. So there is a great need for teacher training college. Apart from the teacher training work that I do, I am also a lecturer at the Catholic University of Eastern Africa. I teach courses like philosophy, critical thinking, theology, introduction to Bible, social ethics, and any other courses assigned to me by the principal of the university. So I do that as part of helping our students who complete our teacher training college and want to go ahead and get a degree in education. We are located in a very remote place of South Sudan, about 400 kilometers from the capital city. And it is a center which has been affected by violence a lot. Where we are located can be described as the epicenter of violence in South Sudan. Things are getting better every day, but the tensions are still there. Some of the causes of violence are cattle rustling, intertribal conflicts, just tribes that don't know how to live with each other. And this deeply affect our students and how they relate with one another. So I'm coming to you now from South Sudan in Rumbek area, 400 kilometers from Juba, the capital city of South Sudan. I'm happy to be in this project and I'm happy to share what we have. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, the wonderful panelists, for this amazing introduction. And I think, Father Ayaga, you made also a wonderful introduction to the context of this particular project. So I would like to address a question to all of our panelists regarding their involvement in this COIL project, this virtual exchange project, how it started, who it involved, and how you felt that this has evolved in the last few years, particularly considering the context that Father Ayaga has just described.
You know, I'd love to jump in here and tell the beginnings of this story because I feel like I was one of the people in on it from the beginning. Dr. Candace Bloomquist was approached by an author and philanthropist and asked if she and her network of, scholars and students would be interested in forming relationships with two different international groups of teacher colleges and people. One was in Nagaland, India, and one was in South Sudan. And so Candace recruited students and alumni from the doctoral program, the interdisciplinary doctoral program at Creighton University, and some alumni, and also some people from the educational leadership program at Creighton University to put our heads together and say, what do we think we have to offer? What is there to do? And so we decided at the very beginning with the prompting of the philanthropist who came forward at the beginning was not to go into it with, we're going to go in and fix something or we're going to donate things, that kind of thing, but more along the lines of let's form relationships and let's let it unfold over time and let's see where it goes. And so with respect to the Mazzolari connection, we reached out and we began with a series of Zoom meetings to meet Father Ayaga and his staff and other missionaries from the area to just understand what the needs were at Mazzolari Teaching College, and so that we could get our heads around, what they were experiencing and what the needs of the teachers were and what the needs of the leaders at the college were. So that's kind of how we got started.
Wonderful. And perhaps Corinne could also tell us a little bit more about her involvement in that COIL project.
Of course, I joined a little later. I was recruited with the second project, the Nagaland project, and then merged to this project when I was a student. And for me, it has like a very personal aspect and why I felt called to do this. I was born in Venezuela, and I myself I was displaced from my country due to the political violence. So it's not the same, but it affects us the same in a way. So the minute I had the opportunity, I just said yes, and I jumped in with both feet, and I'm very grateful for this opportunity to make sure I use my education to empower students in other places of the world thanks to technology. I think it's fascinating. So that's how I got involved. Thank you.
Thank you for mentioning that. We had an amazing podcast with another panelist a few days ago on crisis-affected areas like Venezuela, who explained how virtual exchange actually helped his students through a very large number of projects to understand issues of democracy, freedom, and vice versa, to carry this message. So this is amazing. I would like to delve into more now the particularities of the research that is presented in the book. And in your particular chapter, you obviously connect the virtual exchanges with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and more particularly with goal number 4 and goal number 5. So now goal number 4, which has to do with inclusive and equitable education and lifelong learning opportunities for all. And goal number 5, that has to do with gender equality and empowerment for all women and girls. But you're also employing a very interesting pedagogy approach, which is called pedagogy of hope. So I was hoping that you can actually elaborate more for our audience. What is this pedagogy of hope and how it's informing intercultural competence skills?
Sure. The reason why we kind of collectively thought this will be a good fit, it's because it was born from the pedagogy of the oppressed. It highlighted how the underlying green picture that oppression and domination relationships between teachers and students. So that was something that we wanted to ensure didn't continue to propagate. We wanted to make sure it changed. So pedagogy of hope was born after the discovery of pedagogy of the oppressed. And that's why we were so called, because it also aligned very well with our Jesuit values. So basically what that did was serve as a blueprint in a way to humanize the process of education, to make it transformational, to empower those who are marginalized, to use education to bridge socioeconomic differences rather than to continue to have disparities on power dynamics between teachers and students. So that part was extremely important for us to make sure it was humane and student-centered, and that we don't continue to use education in a way that that highlights disparities in power between teachers and students, but that we foster students to use their voices and grow stronger through education.
Exactly, and you never failed to highlight in your research that this project was actually built on a foundation that a local impact, having the case study in South Sudan, can actually become a global impact by communicating all these initiatives that you have mentioned so far to inspire, to drive changes that could uniquely establish a nice environment, a comfortable environment where not just students, but also educators feel connected as global citizens and in a way to learn to augment their own personal behavior and continue their academic growth. And it's very important to continue that in every age that we are. And I would like to invite Father Ayaga to tell us a little bit more about the Jesuit spirituality that relates to global learning and sustainability.
Good. Thank you very much. Just to give a little bit of context again in the area of pedagogy of hope, this was very significant for us in our setting here in South Sudan, where the culture really is male-dominated. women have no voice at all, apart from the domestic chores that they do. And this culture permeates even in school, in the classroom, where you might have brilliant, intelligent girls in the class, female student, but they will not say anything because culturally, whenever they are gathered together with men, they are not expected to talk. They are told what to say, and they are restricted in what they can say. So for me in particular, and here at Mazzolari, coming up with this project, instituting this pedagogy of hope, was really a kind of the beginning of getting people, getting my students, especially the female teachers, to talk, to know, that their voices matters, that they have something to contribute. So I wanted them to talk and to have their diversity of voices. They are female from different areas in this country. I wanted them to talk. And so the aspect of talking brings self-confidence in them. And they begin to realize that, oh, I have something that I can contribute. And I'm sure as we progress, we shall talk about the impact that this project had in our teacher training college here and still continue to have. But the initial decision was get the students to know that they matter. Let them understand that their voices is important, even among male students. And if this took place and this is going to take place in a large scale, then gradually the culture will change. So we can't change the culture immediately or quickly. It's a slow process, but we needed a place to start from. So in that sense, the Jesuit spirituality is an integrated spirituality. What we do in school, what we read in school, affect how we live in the community, affect how we live in society. So we become caring people. The education helps us to care about others, to listen to others. We may, even those that we do not like, but the Jesuit spirituality invites us to listen to everybody. Everybody has something to say because everyone is unique, everyone is special, and they have something to contribute. So in that sense, bringing this aspect of Jesuit life and letting students know that they matter and that there are people who can listen to them and they can contribute and be confident to say whatever they want to say. This was a really big thing for me personally as a principal of the college, but also for my institution here in South Sudan.
I'm amazed to hear this wonderful way of explaining the pedagogy, and this takes me back to something that Sandra mentioned earlier. She said we should just let the connections and the relationships unfold. And I understand that it takes a lot of effort to create the right context for these people to feel comfortable to understand and gain the confidence to understand that their voice matters. So it would be incredible if you can just explain for our audience how this scaffolding of building this confidence started, how this journey of building their confidence and making them understand that their voice really matters, because obviously this didn't happen overnight. It took a lot of effort from all of you coordinating this project.
Yeah, thank you so much for that question. It really came over a course of a long time. In the beginning, as we were having these Zoom meetings with Father Ayega and his whole group over in South Sudan, our immediate reactions are, what can we donate? What can we give? What can we send over to help them? And we were really cautioned over here by our philanthropists to just slow down and continue to listen. And evolved over time that what we heard and saw were those 2 UN goals that you mentioned earlier about inclusive, equitable education, and also what Father Aiga has spoken about so well about the women in South Sudan and how they are not empowered and they don't have confidence, and how that is so needed to build the teacher vessel over in South Sudan. And so eventually we came up with the idea of building a course around empowering women. And that was the main part of our project, was to figure out, what that course would entail, what the modules would be, what we wanted to impart to the students, at the teacher college, and eventually find out what kind of an impact we made. So we built a course, a 5-week course around empowering women with 5 different modules. And of course, with Father Aiga and his staff helping us all along the way, because we had great concerns about the safety of these women and empowering them, and what might that turn into when they go home and tell their fathers this is what they want to do and this is who they want to be. And so there was some fear in that too. But with a lot of encouragement, we built the courses, and then we had to find ways, to make it work. As Father Aiga has said, the internet is spotty at best in a very, very remote part of the world. And so, we came up with, the plan, and it's all in that book chapter about how we built, a Google Classroom and really prepared a course for Father Aiga and his staff to be able to implement over at Mazzolari and be able to have that happen. So that's really the gist of our project and what we did over time.
This is very interesting, because what you're describing is that you didn't have just to go through and deal with the obviously cultural issues, but also technological issues. So having accessibility to technology, to internet. And so this was a multidimensional task for all of you to prepare the context that would allow this project to kick off. Could you summarize some of your most important findings, having had the experience of this wonderful journey? So what do you think were the main findings in terms of the impact it had to the educators involved, but also to the students involved?
Well,
I think
go ahead, Father Aiga.
Yeah, sure. You can always add. I can only tell you what I saw in the group that we started with, a group of 10 women, young women, and they exuded confidence. There was a lot of confidence. We had them raising their hands whenever a question is asked in the classroom. We had them interacting with the male students, talking freely and saying what is in their mind. Of course, I noticed that in the classroom, some of the male students were uncomfortable with that, but because the ladies were articulate in what they were saying, it's kind of caught some fear among the male students. So the male student kind of retreated a little bit because they saw a lot of confidence in the female student. It even happened in the small things like when duties are assigned in the classroom, the male took a back seat because the female were vocal. So for me, this was one of the landmark, I could say most significant thing that we found is that women were able, this female student, they were able to talk. And when they went for teaching practice, this was very important. When they went for teaching practice, they were able, you could see even in the school, girls, they ask questions, they put questions to girls. Often it is boys only being asked questions in the classroom. We have a classroom under a tree, semi-permanent classroom. So girls will sit in front, boys will sit behind. But when these teachers went for their teaching practice, they will pose question directly to male and female student alike. And that dynamic kind of really excited us. So we said, wow. So it can work if we empower them. We told them that please do, the culture aspect is important, but whatever you learn here, put it into practice. So when they went for teaching practice, we were able to see that directly being employed in their work. And it was one of the most exciting, the self-confidence, the ability to put their point across, to teach with confidence and to say what is in their mind, to ask student question, to listen to student answer. So this was one of the most important thing that we found out with our student. Also, the female student who attended this program sort of influenced the male student. When the male student saw that the female student were now confident, they also asked to join. So we had like 7 male students joining in this program also to see what was happening. And as my fellow teachers described there, the videos that were made, so we were watching them together. Initially, of course, the accent was difficult for most of them, but we watched the video 1, 2, 3 times. Once we understood the video and I said, okay, let's discuss about what the video was talking about. What is solidarity? What is care? How do you show solidarity with each other? They were able, male and female, to interact so freely. I have a photo of them just talking to one another as if they knew each other all along. The cultural aspect kind of took a back seat. The male student and female student were just sitting together and having conversation, 10 to 15 minutes conversation. They were just talking to each other, sharing what they have seen in the video, what the video says, what the video articulates, and how they could apply that in their teaching practice, in their classroom environment. So for me, that was the most significant finding. So I decided then, seeing this, that this will become part and parcel of our curriculum. We will mainstream it, but every year we will have female students separated first and tell them that we could do something like this and see how their reaction, those who are receptive, then we continue with them. But I can say from the experience that we had that there is now conversation taking place in our teacher training college between male and female student without fear that they are breaking what culture has said they should not. They are going where the culture has said they should not go. So this is a really big thing for me personally.
Oh, thank you, Father Ayaga, because what you just described now is an amazing process of transformation that is happening in front of your eyes, and these people, and particularly these women, in a way perceiving a broader role for themselves and bringing it forward, supporting it, and creating, I guess, a ripple effect. Also for them and for the generations to come, since you have described this is a model that worked well and you would like to implement further in the next few years, which kind of takes me into the next question, which was how you believe that virtual exchange and global learning has influenced the way you personally view as those being involved in this process, have changed the way you view the possibilities of education, particularly in relation to achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. it's a question that relates more to, in a way, our understanding, our feeling and our taking as being part of this process as educators.
Well, I think
sorry.
it's
Go
okay,
ahead,
Kareem.
Sandra.
Okay, I'll be quick, Kareem, and then I want to hear your part too. I just think that really and truly overall, this hope of pedagogy, there's hope in everything. And this has taught me that anything is possible. I've known that as an educator my whole life, but having experienced this and watching the transformation through Father Ayega's reports and the exit tickets and the study that we did with our students at Mazzolari, it just gives me so much hope about what is possible, in our own backyards even, and the kind of hope that we can instill in the different places that we are every single day. And again, just what's possible if we take the time to listen to people and hear what their needs are and work together virtually to, empower others to be their best.
Thank you.
Absolutely. To contribute to what Sandy said, and not to go back, but to go back, I think something that has a big impact on me was that we used like an appreciative inquiry approach when we all took on this project, and that allows us to identify like the strengths and possibilities rather than focus on problems. And I think that allowed for all of us to be surprised, to be hopeful about what could happen. So the whole project gave me a renewed hope of the things that we could accomplish together, even at a very cultural and geographical distance and language. It doesn't matter if we really all work together. The collaborative aspect of education has become incredibly wonderful, especially when you work to both parts. We're all learning. The dynamics have changed, and I think that was like my favorite part, how I'm able to learn from the students so much at the same time that I'm able to share my knowledge. So that has been very humbling and hopeful for me.
And Father Ayaga, a final thought?
And I think for me too, I agree with the other panelists. You see, when I say that a female student is able to have a conversation with a male counterpart, that may seem like a very light thing to say in another context, but in our context, it's huge. It's really huge because of what is transpiring here, what is going on. So it's all more or less like a cultural shift. So just to, I remember when we were watching the videos together, and the videos were done with people of various ages. So we had videos done by English teachers, art teachers, and their ages were much closer also to the ages of our students, which is between 25 to 28. That's our age range of our student here. So just to see that a young teacher in the US is able to express herself and how she's helping learners out there, that was said a lot to us because they could identify with the person talking and the struggle they have in their teaching. And our students also could identify with what was being said on the videos, on the programs that were made. So talking, having conversation that brings hope, that brings diversity together, that gives women voice, female teachers voice. This was really the stuff of what we had wanted from beginning. So our connection between Mazzolari Teacher Training College and our American friends of Creighton University group, it was really impactful to us. Also, in the end, the student wrote essays. I would say this is something which I did not mention. They wrote essays, and as they were expressing those essays, they wrote with a lot of confidence, telling the Ministry of Education to give room to admit more female candidates to the teaching profession, because we have a lot of girls who are lacking role model teachers. So these female were kind of requesting, and I'm happy to say that the next intake that we had here in 2023, we had more female students coming to the Teacher Training College than male for the first time. And the Ministry of Education intervened and said, yes, some of them are mothers. They came to college with their babies. And so as the principal, I had to provide a room for them and a place where the baby can feel safe and class. But for the first time, after the letters were written, we had more admission of female student in the college than male student. So it had a real impact in our community here, and hopefully it will be replicated in many other places.
Thank you so much for this wonderful description of the work, the amazing work that you have been doing. I can only say that even for me being part of your audience, I think you have set an amazing set of footprints, I hope for many others to follow. I think this has been an amazing insight into the work that you're doing, and I hope to hear more of the work in the next few years. Congratulations to the whole team for being part of this wonderful project and for being part of transforming people's lives. What I would like to take for our audience today, and I'm taking personally, is that if you want to empower someone to find the confidence to voice their thoughts and their opinions, you also have to be prepared to listen. So thank you very much to Sandra Suter, to Karim Trueblood, and Father James Ayaga. Thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.